What's up, everybody? Texas Platinum is back. Hope you're hanging in there all right despite this cold-ass weather. I'm Trevor. We got Matt Myers and Matt Madrid here. And today we're going to be talking about quarterbacks of Texas present and quarterbacks of Texas future. So if you're into that position group and have been following with the recruiting hype between Murphy coming to visit Texas this upcoming week, this is the video for you. So before we get into it, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're continuing to grow and provide new content for y'all. Videos becoming a little bit more regular now, and so be sure to do that. And then, of course, like and comment as always. We love interacting with y'all in the description below. Okay, so quarterbacks. Let's first start off with our current quarterbacks that we have. We have Casey Thompson and Hudson Card as the two QB1, QB2 quarterbacks. They're going to be fighting for that number one spot. Who wants to start it off? Who do we want to analyze first?
Yeah, I'll start it off. Me, like many other Longhorn fans, were probably going into last season thinking that it's a foregone conclusion that Hudson Card's going to take over that backup spot and then be the starter the year after Sam leaves. And Casey basically comes in and tells us all to, chill out with that, because all he did this last year was he went 12 of 17, completing 70% of his passes, 6 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he had a QBR of 298.2, which is absolutely
don't lie, baby.
Yeah, I know it's a small sample, but just seeing what we saw to Casey in the Alamo Bowl and against UTEP, I know it was garbage time against UTEP, but he just looks very comfortable and experienced and talented. He's got a live arm. You can see that immediately. Quite honestly, you could tell that he's more of a quarterback arm than Sam had. So that's what you need in a Sark offense. But Hudson Card is no slouch either, and I like Hudson Card a lot. I remember watching him in the Under Armour All-American Bowl, and I thought he was the best player on the field. And then, sure enough, I went and read up on all the analysts that were there. They all agreed that Casey Thompson was at least the best quarterback out there, if not the best offensive player out there. So he just looked like Colt McCoy in that game, just dicing it up, making the reads. He's like a natural quarterback. And, in a Sark offense, that's kind of where I get, kind of confused, because with Sark, it's all about making reads. And I know it's a quarterback-friendly offense, but you got to make some reads, especially in the RPO game and stuff. And Casey has been, people call him a one-read quarterback. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't analyzed the film enough, but I've heard that stereotype. I have no idea if it's valid or not, but let's just say, hypothetically, that it is true. Hudson Card may be a better option to, make those reads, those RPO reads, and run Sark's offense a little more cleanly. But honestly, we're in a great spot. I think Casey's going to be the guy right now. And I want him to be the guy. I think he's an awesome leader. I think it's a cool story, OU legacy, becoming like the golden child of Texas Longhorns. Like, it usually goes the other way around, like Texans going to Oklahoma. So It's an interesting dynamic. It'll be fun to watch. We haven't had a quarterback battle in a long time, so I'm looking forward to it in the spring.
Nice. I remember during the Alamo Bowl, I just sent out a tweet saying, no matter what, we're in great hands for the future. I'm really excited about both these guys. Like we said, it was the Alamo Bowl and it was Colorado, but the fact that the offense didn't skip a beat at all, and it was just plug and play with Casey, was very intriguing to me. But I will say, I think Hudson Card is definitely the better long-term prospect, if that makes sense. I feel like his ceiling is a little bit higher than Casey's, even though Casey has a ton of eligibility left. But I think Card will eventually fit Sark's offense a little better, just because of what he can do a little more. It reminds me, he's a little bit of Rodgers-esque to me, just the way he just makes things happen. I really like that about him. But I think going into next season, you really got to give the upper hand to Casey, just because the like Matt said, the leadership and the experience. But what I noticed about Casey is like he's one of those quarterbacks that we haven't had in like a long time. He can throw it. He can throw it in the pocket for sure. But his ability to scramble and like make plays with his legs and sharp cuts. Oh man, I don't even remember. I don't think I was alive and like conscious to realize what Vince Young could do with his legs. Just to have a different dynamic back there in quarterback would be really, really exciting. And I think it's his for the taking. And again, we're just in great hands right now.
Yeah, I think an important thing to look at, actually, obviously both Thompson and Carter, really incredible talents with, I think, a lot of upside. Neither of them are like very big guys.
Yeah.
Thompson's only 6'1", Hudson Card's 6'2", so none of them are like your typical big quarterbacks. But in the modern game, of course, that isn't as important. It's more a matter of being able to make those throws and smart decisions. So Sark, when he, in his press conference, I believe it was the last one he had, they asked him about the quarterback room and everything. And there are 4 criteria that Sark gave that he looks for in his quarterbacks. The first one is competitiveness. Then it goes leadership, fast hands, and accuracy. So competitiveness and leadership. I mean, really, with Card, we don't know all that much about him as a guy and as a leader and everything. From what I've seen on the sidelines, he seems a little bit more quiet-mannered, but I could be completely wrong with that. I'd have to look back at his high school stuff and see kind of what kind of style of leader he is. But from what I've heard inside the locker room and everything is that, and again, this could be just rumors and speculation, I'm not entirely sure, but it sounds like Casey Thompson has kind of taken over the locker room.
Definitely.
And become that leader. So that right there with the leadership and competitiveness, I think, is probably going to go more in Casey's favor. And then in terms of fast hands, that more so just had to do with like having a quick release, being able to get the ball off, being able to adjust on the fly. I think both of these quarterbacks possess that fairly well. What I really like about Card is he's, even though like he definitely is a great passer, and I think that's something that we haven't actually seen a lot of, because when he played last year, Herman was always calling like run plays and like screens and stuff. I don't think he ever really threw the ball vertically the entire year if you look back at the tape. But apparently he's really good at that. But what I really like about Hudson Card is he's definitely kind of a basketball on grass type quarterback, being that he loves
He's smooth with it, yeah.
He likes to do laterals and plays that are kind of spontaneous. So you saw him throw, lateral passes multiple times, and maybe that's just kind of what Herman ran with him, knowing that he has that speed and that ability. But being a quick on-the-fly type quarterback that's definitely something that he possesses that maybe Sark will favor a little bit more over Casey. But I'm sure Casey can very easily do that as well. Casey also has that really quick speed and just being able to also go on the fly. And then the last thing, the accuracy. They both have great accuracy, so it'll be interesting. I mean, I would have not said that original. I would have said Hudson Card by a mile based on accuracy, because apparently that's probably his biggest strong suit. But Casey has been as accurate as Drew Brees out there this past season. Every time he's been in there, just throwing absolute dimes, short balls, long balls. You saw all of his, whether that was that bomb that he threw kind of near the end of his snaps in the Alamo Bowl game. I'm blanking who it was to. But either that or his very quick slant route touchdowns that he threw to Josh Moore that were just perfectly placed right on a dime. He seems to be able to make all the throws. So what I'm coming down to here, and I'm curious what y'all have to say as well, but it's looking like skill-wise, these guys are pretty equal. Maybe Hudson Card is a little bit more on the talented side, but my guess is the leadership and competitiveness that Sark looks for first and foremost will probably have Casey winning out in this battle. Also the experience too, and he's got all the leverage.
That's true.
He can very easily transfer if he doesn't get that starting job, because I believe he still has like 3 years of eligibility left, maybe
It's
4 if
crazy.
he wanted to, because of the COVID year. So, and he's going into his senior year, so
That's crazy.
he'll have all this
so much
time to just
play
play,
ball.
right, and not even have to study.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah.
Yeah, Trevor, you nailed that right there. What sets Hudson Card apart is ironically one of the reasons I think he's not going to win the job, because when Sark took the job, he liked the quarterback room a lot. It was a big part of the reason he took the job. But his philosophy is he doesn't like running quarterbacks. He never wants to run his quarterback. It's not that he doesn't like running quarterbacks, but he'll never design runs for his quarterback. That's a better way to put it. And with Hudson Card, that's kind of a big part of his game. I remember watching him against North Shore in high school, and he was running around like a madman, just like making things happen. And I don't know if that's what Sark wants. I mean, it's good to have that capability, and that's not to say that he's not a pocket quarterback. Like, he can't pass out of the pocket, because he did that in the Under Armour All-American Bowl when I watched him. But I think Casey is just currently more, in that mold, and it's more natural fit right now. But yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes. But I lean Casey Thompson, but we'll see.
What also gives me a little puts me at ease, or rather makes me believe that Casey is the better quarterback, is throughout his whole recruitment, Lincoln Riley was going after this guy. Like, this guy was really wanted at OU. Like, they always had the back door open for this guy. And no, I'm surprised Casey didn't take it, just because of how long he'd been waiting and stuff like that. So just the fact that, like, we're not the only ones that seem to have an eye for him, and especially it's OU and their history with quarterbacks makes me feel like he's even more special once he gets the full-time job.
Yeah, I think he was waiting on that Oklahoma offer, and they waited a little bit too late. Mm-hmm. And by that time, they had already taken Cam Rising earlier than he decommitted. So I think he kind of just was like, like Oklahoma had their chance and they waited, and Texas was there early, and he had a good relationship with Tom Herman. So mm-hmm. I think Herman went in there and he wanted to be different, I guess, and go to the rivals. So yeah, he definitely wanted to go to OU at times, but I think Lincoln was a little bit too late. If he would have offered earlier, it would have definitely been a sooner, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, it makes me wonder, like, that was a great point with talking about, like, in a Sark offense, how do these quarterbacks fit in? I mean, Casey definitely kind of fits that traditional quarterback in the pocket type guy, even though he definitely is a good runner and can run when things break down. To me, Card is almost like the perfect, like, Urban Meyer offense quarterback. He's accurate and can pass, on the fly, but he's definitely a runner type quarterback as well. So yeah, that'll be it. I don't know. I'm curious. I mean, maybe Sark will adjust his offense to Card, because Sark has said multiple times that he's really impressed with Card's playmaking ability and his skill set. So I don't know. Myers has compared Casey Thompson a lot to Justin Fields in terms of playmaking ability. I don't know who we'd compare Card to.
Marcus Mariota.
You're right. You're right. Did he have that in mind, or did that just come out?
No, I've always thought that. Even watching this high school film, I was like, this guy plays just like comp. Mariota.
That's cool.
He does. You're right.
That's cool.
Okay, well, there we go. So, Heisman finalist and Heisman winner. We'll take that. Any final thoughts before we move on to future quarterbacks?
Yeah, just one real quick. Do we expect one to transfer if one doesn't get the job, one or the other doesn't get the job? What do you think?
I think they both could technically if
know,
they
right?
wanted to. I like I said earlier, I'm sure Casey has the leverage in this because he has waited his turn for the longest time. He only has one more year of college left, but at least I could be wrong with 4, but he has at least 3 years, I think, of eligibility left. So if he doesn't have like at least a somewhat guarantee at getting starts, I'd say he leaves to go elsewhere and go to a place that he'll know he's going to start.
That's what I was feeling too.
As for Card, it's a little bit more uncertain because he doesn't have the snaps in the film to really show off. He could leave, like if the offense doesn't quite fit him as well as Tom Herman's did, like we've been saying. And if Casey really takes off, kind of like what he did in the Alamo Bowl, if that becomes a regular performance from him, I'm sure Card will transfer. Like, why would you? I mean, he's got 3 more years left if you want, unless that's the thing. It's like if Casey like went off, this is all hypothetical, best case scenario here. Casey went off. He plays like he does in the Alamo Bowl every single game. He leaves for the NFL draft. Then I could see Hudson Card staying around and being like, okay, I got 1 year that I'm sitting behind him again, and then I'll take the starting job after that. But if Casey's like, no, I want to play at least 2 years, and he's that good as we think he is, then I'm sure Hudson's gone. I don't know. It's tricky. We're about to enter an era of, I think, a lot of not inconsistency at quarterback. That's not the right word, but we're going to have some rotation,
a lot of movement
going on.
I feel like we already have too.
Yeah. And I guess that's just modern college football. I mean, you're not going to get a guy like Sam
all 4
many
years
times over a 4-year starter. I don't know if that's the thing, unless we got like a Quinn Ewers or Maalik Murray. Any of these guys that we're going to be talking about next that maybe have the talent to become 4-year starters. I'm not sure. Myers, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna bring up Quinn Ewers. I think that's important for Hudson Card's his decision on potentially transferring. I think Casey, if he's not starting week 1, he needs to transfer, and I want him to transfer because he's paid his dues. He's been here as a backup forever. He needs to start. He can start somewhere for sure if it's not at Texas. So, yeah, if he's not starting week 1, he'll transfer. I'm pretty sure of that. But with Hudson Card, assuming that Casey's the starter, I think a lot of it will depend on if Quinn Ewers ends up flipping and coming to Texas, because at that point, I think Hudson Card will be in kind of in a bad sandwich situation. With Quinn Ewers right behind him and Casey in front of him, and he's still not seeing the field. Because Quinn Ewers will probably start wherever he goes as a true freshman. So I think at that point you would see Hudson Card really think about transferring if Ewers were to flip. And maybe Maalik Murphy too. I think Maalik Murphy's more of a project, and we'll get into that. Yeah. So I don't think he would scare him off as much as Ewers, but there's a lot going into the quarterback room, a lot of different moving pieces that'll end up. We'll see where it all goes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then final thoughts, Casey versus Card. If you had to pick, who would you pick?
Right now, Casey. That's just my personal opinion. I think Casey.
I was all Card till the Alamo Bowl, and then I've watched his highlights of that game, like every snap, many times since, and you can't not put Casey at number 1 right now.
Yeah, I agree. We're all in agreement. Unless I mean, the spring game's going to be fun. Like that'll be exciting because they're I feel like for the longest time it's been a lot of just Sam Ehlinger, and maybe the Casey will get Casey got a few amount of snaps, but this will be like a true 50-50 split, and that'll be exciting to see. Is how they actually play, because like I said, I feel like Card has really been limited with the play calling that they've given him whenever he's been out on the field. I haven't seen him throw it vertically, really.
Yeah,
it always feels like a lateral pass or a short screen or something. So
agreed.
All right, Casey, Card, quarterbacks of the present. Let's talk about the future here. Texas seems to have acquired, well, Sarkisian, I should say, has acquired his 3 quarterback targets for 2021 in Quinn Ewers, who's currently committed to Ohio State, and very well may stay with Ohio State. We'll see what happens with that. And then his two, I guess, B options, we shall say, is Maalik Murphy out of California, and then we got Cade. Why am I blanking on his name? Totally slipped my name. Cade Klubnik out of Austin Westlake, who just beat Ewers in the state championship game this year. Well, technically last year. So let's talk about these 3 guys. Let's start with Ewers, being that he's kind of the hot shot here. Thoughts on Ewers? Myers, you know a lot about him.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers is very good at football. He's number 1 player in the nation for a reason. And he battled some injuries this year, but he still looked great whenever he was playing. And he's committed to Ohio State, but, you know, the story goes that he grew up a Longhorn fan, a diehard Longhorn fan from Texas. You know, whenever he committed to Texas back in June or August, whenever it was, he had the whole Texas born and raised hashtag, and we thought he's really a patriot of the state of Texas, so we thought we had that going for us. And to be honest, though, I think of it this way: like, he decommitted from Texas, or he decommitted from Tom Herman's Texas. Like, we decommitted from Tom Herman anyway. Like, we all decommitted from Tom Herman. The fans decommitted from Tom Herman, so you can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
And I understand, you know, even if he does in his heart want to come back to Texas, it's going to be hard, you know, to like decommit again. Just the optics, the pride of everything. You know, calling up Ryan Day and Corey Dennis being like, "Look, I'm not coming to Ohio State." That's hard for these, like, what are they, 17-year-olds? Like that's scary. That's scary.
Big boy decisions to be making.
Yeah. And it's not like by him, like, he's missing out on anything. Like, he could be missing out, you know, staying home, making Texas great. But it's not like going to Ohio State is a bad, like, a downgrade. Like, that's a safe bet. So he's already got like a safe
safer.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I mean, I've heard some stuff today that maybe the door is opening, but it's, who knows, man. Honestly, if I was betting on it, I would say that. I mean, we'll know soon, because Maalik Murphy's trying to. Looks like he may be wanting to commit to Texas soon. Who knows about that? But I'd bet on him ending up at Ohio State. So we'll see. Maybe, I hope I'm wrong. Having Quinn Ewers in the class would be monumental. That would bring Texas back, like, as a fact. You can't deny that. He's Trevor Lawrence talent. I mean, you get, like Stephen The God, he said, in Fanatic Perspective, you get players like Quinn Ewers to win a national championship, and getting a guy like him at Texas would be huge. So I hope we can flip him, but I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, he's definitely a Pied Piper of 2021 class. So just getting him, a whole bunch of people would follow. And yeah, that definitely is a reason why Texas should try their best to get him back over here. But definitely no guarantee. I mean, like we said, Ohio State is definitely the safer option for him. No offense to us, but yeah, Madrid, you have any thoughts on yours?
No, it's pretty much the same sentiment every time I've been talking about Quinn. It feels like a pipe dream right now to get him back, just because, you know, Ryan Day's in his ear like, hey man, we can do everything we can do at Texas, but like 10 times better and with a better record too. And it's just, I can get you a higher draft grade. I can have you better skill players around you, better coaching, better infrastructure. And it's just going to be a really tough sell to be like, hey, to tell a kid to be like, hey, this isn't the Texas you originally committed to. We're different Texas, although you haven't seen any of it yet. So I just think it's a super hard sell. I think Maalik Murphy is like the next best thing though. Looking at his tape, very crisp. And I don't know. It's just if there was a person or a kid that could substitute for Quinn, it'd be him. And it it's a pretty sweet consolation prize, and everything we've been seeing lately seems to tell us that he's leaning towards us. So it's just a lean, but I'd rather take that than not having a top quarterback. So
Yeah, let's transition over then. We'll come back to yours later, I'm sure, once we talk about these three guys, and then we'll start comparing them more side by side. Let's talk about Maalik Murphy out of Southern California, 5-star as well, number 2 pro-style quarterback behind Ewers. This guy, he doesn't have a lot of game tape. Let's just say that right now, and when we compare the three, you'll hear me talk about that, not ad nauseum, but you'll hear me mention that. But from what we see in camp footage and everything out there, this guy's got a golden arm. I sent a camp video to you guys, and I was just like, holy crap, look at those spirals. Like, the ball doesn't even vibrate at all in the air. It's just
yeah.
The comp that I saw for him that I like, even though some people might kind of hate on it, is he's kind of like a Jameis Winston. I mean, obviously, hopefully without the turnovers, but just the ability to make all the throws. And I mean, Jameis was a baller. His freshman year at Florida State? I mean, he won the Heisman.
Killing it.
I think he was the number 1 pick in his draft class too. So
carried Jimbo to a championship.
Right. So even though people like to hate on him these days.
Yeah.
Texas seems to be pushing really hard towards him at the moment. He seems to be very interested in them. From what I can tell, UCLA seems to be kind of his dream school growing up, being from California. They're going to, even though they're probably not quite the program at the moment that Texas is, or that Texas can be with Sarkisian, he definitely has some ties to that program. I mean, if you go to like his social media and Instagram, he's all UCLA basically. So that he's close to them in that regard. And then of course he likes Oregon a lot, being from California as well. So those are probably our top suitors that we have to compete against. But at the moment, just this week, the crystal ball came out, now projecting Texas, and he'll be visiting Austin this coming week. Kind of a tough time to be visiting because, like we said, it's cold as hell right now. And I just saw the weather forecast, and Monday, like in Austin, I saw that the low was going to be 3 degrees, like single digit. I've been in single digit temperature, but not in Texas. So that kind of sucks. But Maalik Murphy, Myers, how about you kick it off? What are your thoughts on Maalik?
Yeah, Maalik Murphy, it's kind of like a scary situation that Sark has to navigate right now, because Maalik Murphy is so unproven as a quarterback, at least not based on talent and like tools, but just off game film. And because it's so different when you're in a 7-7 format compared to when you have a big 6'5" defensive end running at your face and DBs and linebackers everywhere. So I would love to see more out of him. It sucks that his season got canceled last year. Hopefully they play some games in California this year. But I think his comp is kind of a DJ Uiagalelei, whatever his name is. They just fling that ball. It doesn't matter where their legs are at. They don't have to have like their feet set. They can just fling it with their arms, kind of like Mahomes does too. I don't think he plays like Mahomes at all, but they have kind of that same arm strength and talent, which is pairing that with Sark could be huge. But I was gonna say, he's unproven, but I think in today's era of college football, especially with Coach Sark as our head coach, I think you go for the high ceiling guy, not the high floor guy. Because I think Klubnik's the high floor guy, the lower ceiling, where Maalik's the high ceiling guy. And because in the era of the transfer portal, even if, let's say, Maalik's a dud, we get him, he doesn't work out. He can't handle blitzes and the pressure of like live bullets being shot around. So we can go in the transfer portal, and I'm sure it attracts some good proven quarterbacks with Sark as our head coach. And how free agency is becoming in college football. It's everywhere. Everybody's transferring everywhere. And so I think you shoot high. I think Murphy, I would take him over Klubnik. at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, like you said, he's visiting soon. And also, we talked about Ewers bringing like a platoon of Texans to like University of Texas, but Maalik would bring some California dudes out here too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, CJ Williams at modern day, the wide receiver,
Mhm.
he's like a high ranked 4-star, almost a 5-star. I could definitely see him coming with Maalik Murphy, and same with Kevin Coleman, another 5-star receiver. I think he's from the Midwest, Missouri, but still, they're very. They've said that they want to play together. So,
Right.
I mean, he has connections too, and that would be huge. You know, whenever we hired Sark, we talked about that Cali pipeline, and getting Maalik Murphy in the boat at this stage is his first quarterback. You know, his first quarterback commit. That would be huge in setting up that California pipeline. Which, I mean, Ewers would definitely, we'd lock down Texas if Ewers committed for sure. Which honestly, I prefer that over the California pipeline. But it's kind of like a win-win situation. As long as you land one of them, I'm not complaining. With Klubnik though, I don't know if he has the pull. I'm sure he does in the Austin area. I need, Westlake stacked. I mean, to be good with like Jaden Greathouse, and they're good old linemen. They have some good players too, but I don't know if he has the pull as like Ewers or Maalik Murphy. But yeah, I mean, I would take Maalik Murphy's commitment. That's what people are wondering. Should we wait for Quinn Ewers, or should we take Malik's commitment as soon as possible if he wanted to commit? And personally, I would take it, and I would continue recruiting Ewers. I mean, just tell him you're going to recruit Ewers. If that scares him off, then okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough situation for Sark to navigate, like I said, and we'll see where it goes. But if I was a betting man, like I always say, I would picture Maalik Murphy to be in our class within the next month or so.
Madrid, thoughts on Maalik?
No, it's pretty much the same sentiment as well. I feel like this is kind of an impending commitment, and I think we should take it as soon as possible, just to set the tone for the rest of the 2021 or the next recruiting class. We needed to start off with a bang, if you will, and just get the ball rolling on it. So yeah, Maalik as soon as possible, hopefully. Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to discuss the third QB in Sark's little target, which is Cade Klubnik out of Austin Westlake. Dude just won the Texas State Championship over Quinn Ewers just this December. So that was a pretty big deal. Dude played really well. Definitely was the best player on the field, in my opinion, for that game. Doesn't mean that Ewers is worse than him by any stretch of the imagination, but both of them were injured. Klubnik was as well, yet he still balled out really well. Probably the most dual threat of the three quarterbacks, in my opinion. But let's hand it off to Myers. Myers, what do you see with Klubnik, and tell us a little bit about what you think about him.
Yeah, after that state title game, everybody just kind of lost their mind saying, I think Klubnik's better than Ewers. And then I was like, you know what? I mean, he looked really good. He outplayed him, I think, that game. So I went and looked into it a little more. But, yeah, Klubnik's a really good player. This season, he, did phenomenal. Completing, 68% of his passes, 35 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 600 yards rushing, 15 rushing touchdowns. He's just a really good ball player. But he's on Austin Westlake, which, 6A state champions, top 5 in the nation. So he has a little more help around him than Ewers did or Maalik Murphy would. So you got to keep that in mind. He has a great O-line, but he maximizes it. He plays really well with good players. Is what you need at Texas. But yeah, the first thing that I noticed when watching him was, he's very productive. He's very good at playing on the run, throwing on the run, making stuff out of nothing. He's a playmaker, kind of like Hudson Card in a way. But
yeah,
I don't like his passing mechanics. They definitely need some work. He's kind of got that Tebow long wind-up going. Whereas when you watch Ewers and Maalik Murphy throw the ball, it's just this. It's like an NFL throw. It just flicks off the wrist. With Klubnik, so it's a little uglier. It doesn't look bad, but it just looks awkward, I would say. It gets it done though. He's very productive with it. But I think at the next level, and definitely in the pros, you can't have the wind-up like that, as we saw with Tebow. So, yeah, like we were talking about earlier with Sark, though, I think Klubnik is more of a Tom Herman fit offensively. He's more of a improviser that can stress defenses out with the run game. And like I said earlier, that's not a knock on Klubnik. It's good to have that, in and your forte, but Sark's looking for pocket passers, and I just think that with Murphy or Ewers, I think the potential there to be a big-time pocket passer at the college level, I think they're head and shoulders above in that regard. Not to say they're going to be better players, but I think they're just way better fits for Sark's offense. So, I mean, and you can already see it. I mean, it seems like we're prioritizing Ewers and Murphy over Klubnik. I mean, he's an Aggie legacy, so you would think he would have committed to A&M whenever he got that offer, kind of like we were thinking with the Brockermeyers, but I guess it doesn't mean that much nowadays to be a legacy. But A&M took Connor Wigman or whatever his name is as their quarterback. He's from Houston, so for their class. So I don't see them taking 2 quarterbacks this next class. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because it was kind of like a foregone conclusion that he would end up at A&M whenever they offered, and they did offer, but he didn't commit. So we'll see. I mean, I know he wants a Clemson offer, but I don't think he's going to get that Clemson offer. So I don't know. But if I had to rank them, I would go Ewers number 1, Murphy number 2, and then a gap, and then Klubnik 3.
I was about to say.
Not to say that Klubnik's not good. I mean, he could be the best of all of them, but just personally seeing how they, like I said, transition to Sark's offense and project to Sark's offense, I think you got to go with Murphy or Ewers if you can get him.
Madrid, what do you think about Klubnik? And then we'll do what Myers did and rank him.
Yeah. I mean, the ranking's pretty spot on. I don't know. It just he just doesn't seem like he'll be a Sark type of guy. And while he looked pretty good at against Ewers in the state championship, I just don't think he'll. Ultimately, I just don't think he'll be ending up on Texas. He'll be somewhere else. It just doesn't. I don't think he fits what we are going to do in the future, anyways. To be honest with him.
Yeah, I partially agree, but at the same time, call me a little bit crazy, but I actually have. I think I'd take Klubnik over Murphy. I totally get Myers' logic in taking Murphy and being like, hey, it's okay to take a flyer in the transfer era. And I get that. Like, and if we get Murphy, like, I'll be just as excited as all of us. I mean, I'm really excited to see kind of what happens with him, regardless of where he ends up committing. But with Klubnik, what I love – I mean, from what I've seen in the interviews of him, he's just such a class act guy, just such a leader. He always seems to just echo positivity. I mean, and this is outside of his skills, which are also really, really good. But I really like Klubnik for those reasons. I mean, he's a winner. He's won 2 state championships and can potentially win 3 next season. He's in a good program. He's been coached up by, Todd Dodge, who's probably one of the best that there is. He's got a whole lot of film, a whole lot of snaps. Murphy, like we said, unproven in terms of true games reps. Definitely has like good coaching from camps, but not so much. I mean, that's a different type of football, really, compared to true football. I don't know. To me, Klubnik just. Yeah, Murphy definitely, when you're looking at throwing the ball and maybe their skill set, Murphy is definitely more talented, and that's hence why he's ranked higher than Klubnik. But I really love Klubnik's intangibles and just playmaking ability. I mean, even though Sark's offense will definitely be more pocket focused, you still got to make plays in college, and being able to be as mobile as Klubnik is, I think, is a huge deal. Another Westlake guy, and then this also comes a little bit self-consciously, but if Klubnik doesn't come to Texas and he turns out to be really good, he's going to be the next guy that they're like, man, he was in Texas's backyard, Austin Westlake, he was right there. Sam Ellinger's school, he was wanting to commit to Tech. You're going to hear
yeah.
This. Like if Murphy doesn't commit, no one's going to say a damn peep. It's just like Cali kid, whatever. I mean, maybe they'll talk about him and being like, yeah, Sark really wanted him. But still, it'll be totally different compared to like a Klubnik where it's like, oh, Texas could have had him. And I mean, I guess they could say the same thing about Ewers, like, oh, he was committed to Texas. But even then, he's been committed to Ohio State long enough that I think people have kind of dismissed that and that it was so quick. I don't know. I like Klubnik, like I said, just to wrap it up on my end for his intangibles, just playmaking ability, and that he's a winner. I think that's something that is maybe not valued enough these days. Is give me personally, this is my thought, but give me someone that's a winner over someone that is maybe highly skilled or looks big. There's a not to hate on the guy at all, because I feel like that's kind of wrong to do and kind of shallow, but Tyrone Swoops had the tangibles. He was a big guy. He could throw and he dominated when he was in high school. But his team that he was on wasn't very good. The record wasn't there at all, and that I don't know if that directly was the reason that. There's a whole bunch of things as to why the Swoops era did not work out. And again, I'm not criticizing him or anything like that. I'm just saying that when you bring a winning quarterback in, I think that that's something that quarterback probably should be a little bit more of a talking point. But I could be totally wrong. I don't know. It's all a guessing game, you know.
I hope you're wrong, because I don't want those. I don't want those like segments coming out.
Yeah, right. Right. I don't know. I say Klubnik, but again, any of these three quarterbacks, I'd be more than happy to have this year. But I don't know. What do y'all think? Final thoughts on the quarterbacks?
Yeah, winning's important, definitely, like winning state titles and stuff like that. But didn't Gerard Heard win like 2 state titles with Denton Geyer, and that amounted to nothing?
Yeah.
It's you definitely want to have a competitive guy that's a leader that's been to the playoffs and been deep in the playoffs. So I definitely understand that argument, but I don't think it's obviously not the end all be all. So, and I'm sure that Maalik Murphy, if they have a season, they'll be pretty good too. So, yeah, you made some good points though, especially about the optics of Texas missing on another backyard, highly rated quarterback. But I don't think you should be making a decision based on the optics of it. So I think you take the best quarterback that projects to Sark's offense, and I think that's what he will do. So, yeah, I don't see Klubnik being in the class, but that could change very fast. Maalik Murphy could say, I want to slow down, and then Klubnik comes in and says, I want to commit right now, and Ewers is still not interested. It could be just like that. Like he's in the class. He's the bell cow at quarterback. So we'll see. We shouldn't rule him out. I've been way too dismissive on him. I think it could happen. He could be at quarterback.
Yeah,
I agree. I concur.
Any final thoughts on the future, guys, that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, I want to say one last thing. Matt Madrid said earlier, and I'm still kind of triggered by it. He said that Quinn Ewers has better coaching at Ohio State than he would at Texas. And
maybe he used to.
He used to, exactly. Sark just outdueled Ryan Day. And look at all the quarterbacks that Sark has produced and sent to the first round. How many has Ryan Day sent to the first round? Like 1? Going to be 2 maybe?
That's true.
Yeah, 1.
So I think Sark can match whatever Ryan Day is pitching in terms of resume. And I don't know, he might be a more likable guy. Ryan Day, I'm sure he's likable to the Ohio State players, but he rubs me the wrong way in interviews. He's kind of like a Tom Herman vibe. I could be totally wrong. That's just me personally. Maybe I just hate Ohio State, but I feel like Sark's a little more genuine, a little more likable of a guy. So I don't know. Maybe we do have him outgunned in coaching for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I like that point. Anything else, Madrid? You got anything?
I'm good.
All right. Well, then we'll move on to our last of our quarterbacks who are also quarterbacks present and one quarterback incoming. We got Charles Wright and Cole Lourd as kind of the likely scout team / third string guys, long-term projects for each of them. Let's talk a little bit about Charles Wright first. Both of them are 3-star pro-style quarterbacks. Charles Wright is from Austin High, so even closer than Austin Westlake. Like you could walk to the University of Texas from Austin High, really close by. He was originally committed to Iowa State. I always make that mistake. Iowa State for a long time, but then Yursich was able to flip him to Texas. Obviously, growing up here, he was always a big Texas fan, big Colt McCoy fan, all that good stuff. Had a really long career with a lot of really good stats at Austin High. Kind of made them a notable team, which they typically aren't compared to like Travis or Westlake or something like that. But definitely made them a decent team. Really good leader, kind of like what I said with Klubnik in the interviews that I've seen of Charles. He just seems he reminds me so much of Sam, just in how he talks and how he carries himself. I mean, play wise, he's definitely a different player, but just mannerisms and how he sounds and everything. I get a lot of Sam vibes from him personally. Definitely a long-term project, but I mean, he from what I can tell, he's a hard worker, good leader, definitely something good to have in your locker room. And then play-wise, he's a passer with a pretty quick release, and definitely is a dual-threat guy. The comp that I saw for him was Mason Fine, which I think is an excellent comp, considering his size and kind of how he plays the game. Myers and Madrid, thoughts on Charles Wright?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I don't know too much about Charles Wright, but what I do know is he's definitely one of those, like you said, Samuel, he's a lifer. And whenever Tom Herman or whoever it was, Mike Yurcich or Tom Herman offered him on the phone, he committed on the spot. Like he flipped. I don't know if he announced it right then, but that's how much he loves Texas. And it's always great to have people like that in the program that just grew up, bleeding red orange, going to all the games. And you watch him on film, and he's really good. I mean, he's very good but the thing is, he's just kind of small, and
yeah.
I don't know if athletically, if he has all the intangibles to, just be the quarterback at Texas. But I do think he can provide great depth, like maybe Carr transfers out and then Casey's quarterback and he gets hurt and then Charles Wright goes in. I think it's better than –
Don't say those things.
It's better than it could be worse than that. I mean, and that's just saying him as a freshman. I think him down the line can be a very serviceable quarterback when we need him. And I like what he has on film, but I don't know. I would pump the brakes on, expecting to be a starter here, at least right now. But yeah, I'm glad he's in the class. I mean, as soon as Milrow was it Milrow? Yeah, as soon as Milrow decommitted, he hopped in the class immediately. So, and he's been recruiting. He's like a good leader. He's good friends with like a lot of the recruits and players. So he's kind of got that leadership aspect going also. So yeah, I think Charles Wright's a good pickup. And in the era of transfer portal, like I said, it's great to have guys that love Texas and want to be here, regardless if they might not be starting or playing, but just to be at UT and competing in practice and stuff like that could be huge, and getting guys ahead of him ready. And then who knows, he could just pop off like Baker Mayfield and just take the starting job.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he'll be a great ambassador of UT for sure. And I like his personality and I like what he can give us as like a foundation in our quarterback room for sure.
Sweet. Let's then move on to the newest guy on our team, newest quarterback, I should say, Cole Lourd. This is, again, 3-star from California this time. Little bit bigger than Charles Wright, but definitely pretty comparable. He was actually committed to LSU for a while, was on, for the full ride and everything. But he really likes Sark and Milwee a lot and decided to come on as a preferred walk-on, which I think is bold, especially when you're committed to LSU and had a spot there and everything. But, I mean, all to you if you have that confidence. I mean, I like that a lot. Either confidence or a little bit of foolishness. We'll see. But his dad went to LSU, so this was a very big flip. But he did have Texas ties with his brother I think his brother still is here at UT, and then his grandfather and uncle were also alumni.
Oh, that's nice.
So definitely has that tree, even though he's a California guy. Like Murphy, he didn't get to play his senior season out in California. But from what I've seen on his film, he reminds me a lot, kind of like a Tony Romo. He's a really good passer with a big arm, and he's definitely mobile, and you'll see him kind of run around and stuff, but he's more of he from what I've seen is he's always looking down the field to throw it, even though he has that mobility to him. So even though he'll like scramble around in the pocket if all hell breaks loose and everything, but he's constantly looking downfield as opposed to just take off and run it, even though he will do that sometimes. But his specialty is definitely in throwing the ball. And like I said, a little bit bigger, like 6'2", 220. So he's definitely a little bit stockier than Charles Wright is. So might translate a little bit better to the college level. We'll see. But definitely is a good arm talent.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Lourd?
The thing that I liked about Lourd looking at his film was just like his ability to make throws like in the face of blitzes, like kind of like Joe Burrow did a lot. I saw a lot of Joe Burrow in that regard, just because that takes like some balls to sit in there and throw an accurate ball while you're about to be hit. A lot of quarterbacks can't do that, and him showing that at a in high school in his junior year, whatever it was, is very impressive, and that's a great sign going forward. And like you said, he's able to like make plays and extend plays and keep his eyes downfield, which I think is just invaluable to a quarterback. So yeah, I mean, I saw a little bit of Baker Mayfield in him, throwing some dimes. He's kind of built like Baker too in a way, maybe a little taller. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I wouldn't rule him out either. I think him and Charles Wright are gonna have a lot of battles trying to get in that mix for the backup quarterback spot, and we'll see, man. I think he's a better pickup than Charles Wright, low-key. I don't want to, make anybody mad, but if I had to pick one right now, I would pick Cole Lourd, just based on the film.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I agree with you, too. All the film that I was watching when I was researching him a little bit, I like Lourd a lot better, or a lot more. But I like that he can run, but, like, when he runs, he's a little more, like, lumbering. Like, he's just real, like, a big, stocky dude running down the field. Like, can knock down some guys with him. I don't know. Reminds me a little bit of how Sam ran a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just he's not going to make anyone miss, but, like, he'll give you a good hard-earned, like, 10 yards or something like that. So, yeah, and with the comps with, like, Baker, too, like, just kind of under duress, kind of making throws. Or, I mean, Burrow, you said. I thought that was really really impressive, too. So, yeah, I like Lourd better. I just like his frame even more. And also kind of he also kind of fits, like, what Sark wants to do, too. I like that more. Like the Mac Jones kind of build.
Yeah, definitely a Mac Jones type long-term guy. So it'll be interesting. All right. Well, that does it with all of our quarterbacks. Any final words from each of y'all to wrap this show up?
Bundle up. It's cold out there.
Hey, I got one last thing to say.
In terms of quarterbacks.
Quinn Ewers to Austin, Texas is destiny. That's all I'm saying.
It was written in the stars, bro.
Do you think it's going to happen?
No.
When would it happen? How about that?
It would happen within a month.
Really? You don't think he'd be a late get, like flip him in December or November if we go on a run?
Maybe if we took Klubnik, maybe he would flip later. But I think if we got Murphy, which is looking like in the next month, it's going to force his hand to decide if he wants to flip now or just forever hold his peace and be a Buckeye and freeze up in Canada.
It's always cold there.
Yeah, exactly.
You always got to bundle up there.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I'm sure we'll have videos to come whenever quarterbacks start committing here, and we'll continue to provide further analysis on that. Anything else outside of bundling up?
Nah,
no? All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. As we said earlier, please subscribe if you haven't already, and be on the lookout for more content like this. Give us a like, give us a comment, let us know what you thought of this show, and continue to hang around and wait for exciting stuff to come with our channel and with Texas football. So again, thank y'all. Have a good one. Stay warm out there. Okay.